1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon and welcome to your 12 p.m. news update. I'm your host, Madison Buckingham, and I'm here to bring you the top stories. Here's what's happening around the Lower Mainland, in the rest of Canada, and beyond. Surrey RCMP are investigating reports of a vehicle theft at gunpoint on Sunday afternoon. The incident resulted in an officer being taken to hospital. Police say they responded to the scene on 192 Street near 75 Avenue at roughly 3:30 at Sunday. A member of the Langley RCMP located the vehicle before the stolen vehicle collided with the police vehicle. The suspects attempted to flee on foot but were located and taken into custody. The RCMP have passed the investigation of the Coquitlam shootings onto the Lower Mainland's Homicide Investigation Team. The series of shootings took place over the weekend, the most recent being Saturday afternoon near Westwood Street and Glen Drive. The attacks have resulted in one individual taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries, with no deaths or injuries resulting from the other two. The Mounties say that the three shootings were targeted and gang-related. The incidents are creating fear in locals, but the RCMP says that public safety is the top priority. If you see more Buy BC logos around town, it's probably due to an increase in funding announced today by the BC government. Our reporter Jocelyn Chappelle looks into the details of this new provincial advertising deal.
Various local businesses across the province will be benefiting from the Buy BC Partnership Program. The program aims to increase visibility of small family-run businesses, new entrepreneurs, and larger companies. Funding is used for advertising, staff wages, and adding the Buy BC logo to products. Businesses like Elias Honey are excited to display the logo to better inform customers of its product's local origin and their honey sourcing practices. This year, the Buy BC Partnership Program is providing $2 million to help eligible applicants, and the applications for the funding is open until February 2nd, 2024. Jocelyn Chappelle, BCIT, The Crow.
For more news from the Lower Mainland, projects are underway for the restoration of Gishon Creek. The natural waterway connects many bodies of water throughout Burnaby, and the people behind the project are running into challenges. The Crow's reporter Brooke Jensen spoke with the Director of Improvements at BCIT to learn more about the timeline for this project.
After a decade of discussion, a portion of restoring and daylighting the Gishon Creek that partially runs through the BCIT Burnaby Campus has been complete. The construction, however, is far from over, as there are already plans to continue daylighting the creek as much as possible. Joe Kosh, the Director of Facility Improvements at BCIT, says a pothole that formed near the site made construction unusually fast.
Only because of the failed infrastructure, this became a bit of an emergency project. From start to finish, this current project's been about 10 and a half months in the making, which from a well-thought-out planned project delivery point of view is lightning fast. But on average, a project like this should be about 2.5 years from initiation to completion.
The creek runs underground through two of the campus buildings and directly next to several others. Additional construction timelines are still in process. Brooke Jensen, BCIT, The Crow.
Reporter Brooke Jensen joins us now live. Hi, Brooke.
Hello.
So tell me, why did the pothole become the deciding factor to start this project?
Well, the pothole had formed right next to the entrance of the creek that goes into underneath the campus, and it kind of happened to tackle two projects in one, so it was more cost effective in the sense that you didn't need funding for two separate projects, especially since the creek currently runs around 700 meters underneath the school campus, so it kind of created a tell to see how much there was left to go, and yeah, more of it gave them the opportunity to kind of be like, okay, we have to fix this, might as well fix this as well.
Of course. And discussion started about 10 years ago. Tell me more about the history of this plan.
Yeah, so the complete, we're going to do this project started at around late 2014. But there is a man named Mark Angelo, and he's been fighting to do this since the late 70s, early 80s. Our reporter Chris Koo is going to talk to him today. But he's been really wanting to do this for a long time, and he started doing the more southern areas of the creek that's like further away from the campus, and that ended in around 2006 and has been since almost completely restored. And now he was saying that it's been a blockade for the salmon, so they couldn't be able to swim upstream on their own, and they've had to send people down to physically pick up the salmon and move them to where they would lay their eggs and go on about their lives. And now, because of this, the salmon are now able to swim up the stream themselves to wherever they need to go and safely.
Gotcha. Very interesting. Thank you so much for the update, Brooke.
Thank you.
We'll head back to the cast now. Montreal's most Canadian Airlines travelers will be unaffected by the grounding of Boeing 737 MAX 9 airline, but they should check their itineraries all the same, as connecting flights south of the border may be changed or canceled. Aviation expert John Gradek says that the scale of the network disruption will hinge on whether the problem is a one-off or the result of a systematic flaw.
If it's systemic across the MAX 9 fleet, this could take a while. Overall, I think that, people should be concerned about the Boeing culture and how Boeing is approaching the world of commercial aviation. You don't release an airplane that might have a problem.
U.S. authorities grounded the MAX 9, which no Canadian carriers operate, after part of the fuselage tore away from an Alaska Airlines plane Friday, leaving a gaping hole in the side of the cabin and prompting an emergency landing. Mourners are gathering in Richmond Hill, Ontario today to mark 4 years since the Iranian military shot down flight PS-752. A special ceremony has been arranged that will include speeches, performances, and presentations. The Ukraine International Airlines was taken down in January 2020, leaving behind no survivors, most of whom were bound for Canada. 55 travelers were Canadian citizens and 30 were permanent residents. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will be attending the event, joined by Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly, Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland, and Transport Minister Pablo Rodriguez. Storm warnings have been issued in Australia as floods and thunderstorms are expected to carry on throughout the week. The extreme conditions are forcing hundreds of residents to leave and evacuate their homes. This has been your news to 12:13 p.m. I'm your host, Madison Buckingham, and we'll be back in a minute to bring you an update on sports. Madison Buckingham, BCIT The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
This is sports on 1680 The Crow.
Welcome back to The Crow. This is Madison Buckingham with your 12:14 sports update. Let's take a look at what's going on in the world of sports. Kicking things off with the NHL, tonight the Vancouver Canucks are in New York to face off against the Rangers. Both teams are sitting pretty in the standings with the Canucks a point ahead New York. Coach Rick Tocchet spoke in a press conference today saying that his team is healthy and resting certain players like Juleson. It's a strategy moving forward.
We have to look at that option, and we have to have, guys buy into that because, that's the stage we're at. It's about being a team, and we'll deal with all the other stuff. But yeah, we have some healthy Ds that, and like I said, a guy like Juleson's been playing well.
Tocchet also says goaltender Thatcher Demko will be starting in net tonight. Puck drop is at 7 p.m. The Toronto Maple Leafs have made history by signing star winger William Nylander to their largest deal ever made. The player will be receiving $92 million for an 8-year deal. Nylander was eligible to become an unrestricted free agent on July 1st, prior to signing the contract. As of this new deal, Nylander will be joining 4 other Leafs players making 8-figure salaries, including Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and John Tavares. The 27-year-old winger is on track for career highs this season with 47 goals and 120 points. For a crossover between sports and entertainment news, actor Ben Stiller took to X last night praising Toronto Raptors RJ Barrett after he dropped 37 points against the Golden State Warriors. Stiller has recently jumped on the Toronto Raptors bandwagon. Though he's a New York native, the actor is still following his favorites who have departed from the New York Knicks team. Stiller also showed his love for Raptors Emmanuel Quickley. The NFL's regular season concluded last night with the majority of teams playing their final games yesterday. Today, the Washington Commanders have announced that they have fired coach John Rivera after a devastating loss to their divisional rivals, the Dallas Cowboys. The Commanders lost 38-10 at home to end their season. The team's left tackle, Charles Leno, says Rivera is seeing the consequences of the team's disappointing season.
Everybody in this building, loves Ron Rivera, as a person and all that. But, when you're the leader of the ship, somebody has to go down with it.
The majority of the front office and coaching staff, including general manager Martin Mayhew, are expected to be leaving the team as well. Star golfer Tiger Woods is cutting off his partnership with Nike. Reporter Derek Dennis has the details on the split.
The 27-year estimated $500 million partnership between Tiger Woods and Nike has come to an end. Woods posting on X a picture with him and Nike founder Phil Knight, writing, "Phil Knight's passion and vision brought this Nike and Nike Golf partnership together, and I want to personally thank him," adding, "People will ask if there is another chapter. Yes, there will certainly be another chapter. See you in L.A." No word on why the split or on what Tiger Woods' next chapter will be. Derek Dennis, ABC News.
Now for a quick look at the weather. The Greater Vancouver area can expect periods of rain and wet snow. Rainfall is set to be 5 to 10 millimeters with winds up to 20 kilometers per hour. This has been your sports news update to 12:18 p.m. We'll be back at 3:30 p.m. with more news and sports updates. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Madison Buckingham, and you're listening to BCIT The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow. This is 1680 The Crow, and you're listening to our feature presentation.
Sushi is one of the most popular dishes in the world. But is sushi as we know it in Canada the same as it is in Japan? What do masters of the craft think about sushi here?
We have to do something new too. That one is not the deep fried sushi.
Not that.
No, not that way.
There's no doubt that Canadian food culture is heavily influenced by immigration. Vancouver's food scene is known for being incredibly rich in diversity, including some of the best Chinese food that can be found outside China. As a coastal city, we also have an abundance of seafood, which means dishes like sushi that utilize a lot of seafood are found everywhere. With all the different ethnic communities that call BC home, there is no shortage of cuisines to try. The variety of cuisine that lines our streets is a testament that immigrants continue to change local food culture. But is the reverse the same? Are our food preferences also changing traditional cuisine? The answer to this question is a little less obvious. For example, fortune cookies are ubiquitous in Chinese restaurants across North America. In the Western world, they are a symbol of Chinese cuisine and even culture. But did you know that fortune cookies are not found in China? The fortune cookie is actually a Japanese invention that was brought to America. My name is Tammy Mack. Welcome to Let Them Cook, a series where we explore how foreign food culture shifts and evolves when it travels the globe and becomes acquainted with new audience. This is episode 1, Mr. Yoshida. The California roll that is a staple in every sushi restaurant here was invented in Vancouver by chef Hidekazu Tojo, a Japanese-Canadian and the namesake of Tojo's on Broadway, although there has been some debate about how accurate this is. Chef Tojo also claims to have been the pioneer of the inside-out style of sushi. Traditionally, sushi ingredients are wrapped in a seaweed wrapper facing the outside. However, Chef Tojo, sensing a local distaste for seaweed, instead wrapped his rolls in reverse order, with the rice on the outside and the seaweed hidden inside. Chef Tojo is also credited with other iconic rolls like the BC roll, rainbow roll, golden roll, and my personal favorite, the spider roll. He's also known as the first sushi chef to incorporate smoked salmon into sushi. Chef Tojo has become an ambassador of a sort for this new Canadian style of sushi. His innovations have proved more than a little successful, expanding to as far as Europe. Other sushi chefs have followed suit, including California rolls and the like in their menu. But what's it like as an authentic sushi chef navigating a market that already knows what it likes?
Deep fried rolls, put on the sauce on top.
Deep fried
yeah. And the dragon rolls. Yeah. That's how they like it. Yeah, but it's a business, right? If they like it, I gotta do it. Yeah, if they don't like it, I don't do it.
That was Chef Yoshida, a sushi chef walking the line between following local trends and adhering to his traditional cooking style. We'll meet him after the break.
This episode is sponsored by Marks. Visit your local Marks today for a wide variety of high-quality brands, ranging from Helly Hansen and Columbia to Carhartt and Levi's. Marks, all things simple.
Let's start by transporting to Yoshida Sushi, a modest, homey restaurant located near the intersection between Victoria Drive and 41st Avenue in Vancouver. The decor is simple, with wooden accents reminiscent of old restaurants in Tokyo. Owner and chef Ko Yoshida tells us they're still in their first year of business. Despite that, they've garnered a 4.8-star rating on Google. Out of 102 Google reviews, the majority of them are rave reviews, with the words delicious, fresh, and best repeated over and over again. Many praise their omakase set for its value and quality. Ko was born and raised in Japan, where he worked part-time for a few years before moving here as a 22-year-old. Most of his cooking experience comes from working in various sushi restaurants in Vancouver, so many he can't keep count. When asked about his experience transitioning from cooking in Japan to cooking in Canada, he only had two things to say.
When I have North American food first time, so much mayonnaise, right? Deep fried mayonnaise, but Japanese doesn't have much that one. So very hard to, adjust to the North American style. Because in Japan it has not much rolls. Just a nigiri and sashimi. Nigiri size is much smaller than here. They have a 1 bite size, but in here almost a 2 bite size. That's very hard to adjust it.
He mentions that over his career, he's noticed that people are looking for something different, speaking to the global trend towards eating healthier.
But now I think I don't need to do too much because customer want to eat more original Japanese food. But I just a little bit sweeter than Japanese food. That's more, good for everybody. Used to be 20, 30 years ago. We have to put more mayonnaise and deep fry, but now more healthier, right?
Ko also tells us that what his clientele wants changes depending on which neighborhood he's in. He says this location on Victoria Drive attracts a predominantly Asian demographic that doesn't care too much for rolls, but likes a lot of fresh fish, especially scallop and eel. On the other hand, to serve a predominantly white demographic, he would have to include the likes of deep fried rolls to stay afloat. Now, deep-fried California rolls aren't found in traditional Japanese food, of course, and Ko was quite candid about how he feels about them.
My opinion, there's no meaning to deep-fry the rolls because the rice is already cooked, then deep-fry again. It's not make sense. So before cooked, then deep fry, and I understand. But after make a steam rice, then deep fry again, no make sense.
I wondered how he balanced adjusting to what his customers want versus how he feels sushi should be. He says that he remains committed to Japanese cooking styles, but part of the philosophy of Japanese cooking is to use fresh, quality ingredients, which is why he utilizes fresh, local fish, but he's also open to innovating with new ingredients.
But I wanna do more Japanese food. Yeah, not North American food.
Yeah.
That's my policy. Japanese food has a pretty much long history, right? Then many people try and error, try to find the best way for Japanese food. So, but we have to do something new too. That one is not the deep fried sushi.
Not that.
No, not that way. Yeah, but use a local new fish, create, that's more Japanese style. So I have to find a new product, new vegetables. I'm using a local Dungeness crab, the BC spot prawns, sockeye salmon, and albacore tunas, and sea urchin too, and ikura. Yeah, that's all local.
Cooking philosophy differs from chef to chef. You could ask the same question 1,000 times and still get a different answer each time, as long as you're asking different chefs. This is why there can be several renditions of something as simple as a California roll. Every time a chef reinterprets and puts their spin on it, the California roll is reinvented, becoming something that's in a constant state of being changed and reworked. It's this process that gives way to renditions like the controversial deep-fried California roll. Wow, did you think you would be hearing about drama in the sushi world today? From hearing about Ko's early observations on North American food culture, we can already predict what the inspirations for the deep-fried California roll were, which ironically involves both deep frying and mayonnaise. Oyama Sushi, located on Kingsway and Royal Oak in Burnaby, is a Korean-owned Japanese restaurant that serves deep-fried rolls and other fusion rolls, like one called the hash brown roll. Mohammed Imran Udin, who has been working at Oyama as a sushi chef for 2 years, says their menu was developed based on the clientele's tastes.
So I found that like in Japanese style is a little bit different rather than in Western, like let's say Canada, America, US, like the sushi is a little bit different. So like I think based on the customer demand, they develop the menus.
Mohammed employs a whatever makes them happy philosophy when it comes to cooking. Rather than adhering to a grander cooking style, Mohammed is just happy to see his customers enjoy his food with a smile on their face.
I love to see customers smile face. That make me really happy. So just make the customer and make the people happy is my philosophy.
Between someone like Mr. Yoshida, who has a more of a traditional, principled take on sushi, and someone like Mohammed, whose primary goal is to make his customers happy, we get a sense of the sort of struggles going through the mind of someone bringing their traditional cooking to a new country. While cooking philosophy surely plays a role, we can't forget that things like remaining profitable and being able to sustain themselves are probably huge factors as well. How each chef juggles the balance between these factors is what makes the conversation about evolving food cultures and the work of immigrants a never-ending story. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. I'd like to give a special thank you to Mr. Ko Yoshida and Mr. Mohammed Imran Udin for taking time out of their busy days to chat with us. Be sure to follow us on your preferred social platforms to be notified of new episodes. Next time, we'll be talking about the rise of Mexican food in Canada.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Teresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.